All right, thank you again for joining us. We are going to go on with the Salt Lake County District Attorney's race with Danielle On and Sim Gill. Due to the league's empty chair policy, they've opted for a modified format. Candidates were provided 2 questions and asked to provide responses plus share a quote. Sim Gill is not here tonight but did submit a video response. I'm going to read the questions first. You will see the video response, and then of course the same questions are given to Danielle On here. The first question, 2020 and 2021 have seen a spike in violent crime that does not seem to be diminishing much even as the pandemic ends. With disparate impact on Westside communities, how would you reduce violent crime? The second question being, how do you plan to address the issues of recruitment, training, and retention of experienced attorneys in the office given the current high vacancy rate? And then lastly, a quote that reflects your beliefs, values, or priorities, or someone who inspires you, maybe someone who inspires you to get into politics. We will begin with the videotaped response by Sim Gill.
Hi everyone, my name is Sim Gill. I am the Salt Lake County District Attorney. Sorry I couldn't be there in person, but I did want to answer some of your questions. The first question was about the rise in crime from 2020 to 2021. In Salt Lake County, the overall crime went down from 101,000 cases to 94,000 cases. So there's actually been a decline in crime overall. However, there has been an increase in some violent crime. That increase in violent crime in Salt Lake County has been by 4%, or roughly about 266 additional cases. But to put it in its proper context, keep in mind during the same period, the violent crime rose by 35% in Utah County, by 40% in Cache County, by 66% in Tooele County, and by 14% in Davis County, and 11% in Weber County. So 4% increase is actually proportionally very small for the size that we are, but that is still not good enough for me. So we will continue to work with law enforcement. We will continue to work with our partners to make sure that we can assist them to bring violent offenders to task and to hold them accountable. And we will continue to focus on making sure that we have an empty jail bed at the county jail, because the best deterrence to violent crime is having an empty jail bed. Thank you. So the second question that I was asked is about the ongoing concerns about retention and qualified individuals working at the DA's office. This is unfortunately a reality that is impacting post-COVID all of government in this country. There's roughly 650,000 people, government employees, shortage across county and state government. And in a district attorney's office across the country, there's been a shortage both in large offices and small offices. So the focus really is to make sure that we are market competitive. Hi, the third question I was asked is, what is the favorite quote? It's from Lincoln. Paraphrasing Lincoln, he said that the proper role of government is to do for the individual what they cannot do so in their personal capacity. And what that means to me is that public institutions matter. I believe in the inherent goodness of people, and I believe in the inherent goodness of public institutions to make a positive change in people's lives in our community.
All right, now we will pose the same questions to Danielle On, who is here. 2020 and 2021 have seen a spike in violent crime that does not seem to be diminishing much, even as the pandemic ends. With disparate impact on Westside communities, how would you reduce violent crime? 1 minute, please.
Thank you. So it's very simple. What we need to do is we need to end plea deals with repeat violent offenders. We need to give a voice back to victims by reforging our relationship with the police. Doesn't mean that you don't hold the police accountable, but it does mean that we work hand in hand with our law enforcement partners. Ultimately, I am a public safety official, and so is my opponent. There is no excuse for the 46% increase in homicide over the past 4 years. That's a 16% increase above what is what has been nationally experienced in that same time frame. My opponent mentioned that there's been a decline in criminal cases and violent cases. Well, there's been an increase in violent crime declinations. My opponent refuses to enforce the law. He's implemented de-prosecution policies. These de-prosecution policies have led to an increase in violent crime, specifically in homicide. We've seen that time and time again in the data. If we want to see a change, we need to hold criminals accountable. whenever crime occurs and we have the probable cause to bring forward the case. That is the role of the prosecutor, and if they are not doing their role, then the rights of the victims are not being heard. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question. How do you plan to address the issues of recruitment, training, and retention of experienced attorneys in the office, given the current high vacancy rate? 1 minute.
So there are two reasons that an attorney might want to join the prosecutor's office. One reason is because they want to put bad guys behind bars and they want to make sure that the right things are being done and they're holding criminals accountable. The other reason is because they get experience. Right now, GILL has dedicated the vast majority of his budget towards training prosecutors on plea deal negotiations rather than getting them the training that they need in litigation and trial preparation. So people are leaving the office because they're not getting the experience and the career growth that they want. Second of all, he has a policy that says you shall not maintain or bring charges against a defendant that you subjectively believe, subjectively is my input, that you believe is innocent regardless of the evidence presented. That is a policy that cannot stand and must be eliminated if we want to see recruitment and retention change.
Thank you. Last question. Can you share a quote that reflects your beliefs, your values, or your priorities? Or if you don't have a quote ready, maybe somebody who inspires you or who inspired you to get into public service.
So the person who inspired me to get into public service, well, the quote rather, I'll just give a quick quote, sorry. My quote is, "Am I my brother's keeper?" It was given by the first murderer that, if you're Christian, you believe the first murderer in history. And the reason it inspires me is because I am my brother's keeper. I care about everyone, and the law needs to be equally applied to all. Thank you.
Thank you, Danielle. Please give Danielle and Sim a round of applause. Candidates available after this to answer any questions you may have downstairs. Thank you. We're going to take a brief break, and up next we will have the Salt Lake County Sheriff's race with Rosie Rivera and Nick Roberts.